When poor dog owner John Walker finds his pregnant dog with a massive snake twisted around her, he panics. But it's what happens next that is simply unbelievable. With every moment that went by, John could see poor Bella struggling against the muscular reptile. He needed to do something, but what? He knew he couldn't interfere too much for fear of the dog getting more hurt. Desperately searching his yard for something to help him, he felt his heart racing in his chest. His actions could be the difference between life and death. It was a serene summer morning when John Walker decided to enjoy his coffee on the porch of his suburban home. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a golden hue over the neatly trimmed lawn and the vibrant flower beds. Birds chirped merrily and a light breeze rustled the leaves of the oak trees lining the garden. John's pregnant dog Bella, a beautiful dark Labrador, was playing in the garden, sniffing around the blooming roses and chasing after butterflies. John watched Bella with a smile, feeling a deep sense of peace. Bella had been with him for years, and their bond was unbreakable. She was expecting her first litter of puppies, and John was eagerly looking forward to the new additions to his family. Everything seemed perfect, until he heard a strange rustling noise coming from the far end of the garden. John's brow furrowed as he set his coffee cup down and stood up, straining his ears. The sound was unusual, a mix of leaves rustling and something heavy moving through the undergrowth. He walked slowly towards the source of the noise, his heart beginning to pound with unease. As he rounded the corner of the garden, his eyes widened in horror. He could hardly believe what he was seeing. There, coiled around Bella, was a massive python. The snake's muscular body was wrapped tightly around Bella's midsection and its powerful coils were constricting her. Cutting off her air supply. Bella's eyes were wide with terror and she was struggling weakly, unable to free herself from the snake's deadly grip. John froze. What was he meant to do? Never in his wildest imagination did he think he would ever be faced with such a situation. John shouted, his voice breaking with panic. He rushed forward, his mind racing. He had to save her, but how? The python was enormous, at least 12 feet long, and its strength was terrifying. John had never encountered a snake this size before, and he felt a surge of fear. His mind flashed to all the shows he had watched about snakes and reptiles. He didn't know much, but he did know that a python's grip was insanely strong. There was no way he was going to be able to help her, was there, but his love for Bella overrode his fear. John grabbed a nearby rake, the only tool within reach, and approached the snake cautiously. He knew that attacking the snake directly could provoke it to tighten its grip on Bella. He had to be strategic. He jabbed the rake gently at the snake's body, trying to pry it off without causing it to panic. The snake hissed, its forked tongue flicking out as it turned its head towards John. Its eyes were cold and unblinking, and John felt a shiver run down his spine. Let her go. John shouted, his voice a mix of desperation and anger. He pushed harder with the rake, managing to wedge it between the snake's coils and Bella's body. The snake tightened its grip, and Bella let out a pained whimper. John's heart ached at the sound. He had to find another way. Dropping the rake, John knelt beside Bella and the snake, his hands trembling. He tried to gently pull the snake's tail, hoping to unwind it from Bella's body. The python was incredibly strong, and its scales were smooth and slippery. It was like trying to pull apart a thick, muscular rope. John's hand slipped, and the snake's grip didn't loosen. He pulled out his phone and dialed 911, his hand shaking so badly he almost dropped it. 911, what's your emergency? The operator's calm voice answered, my dog. John gasped. A python is strangling my dog in my garden. Please, send help quickly, sir. Stay calm, the operator replied. We're dispatching animal control and emergency services to your location. Try to keep the snake from tightening its grip further." John thanked the operator and hung up, his heart pounding in his chest. He returned to Bella, his mind frantically searching for a solution. He spotted a large bucket near the garden hose and had an idea. Rushing over, he filled the bucket with water, hoping that dousing the snake might make it loosen its grip. He ran back to Bella and poured the water over the snake. The cold water seemed to surprise it, and for a moment it loosened its coils just slightly. Seizing the opportunity, John grabbed at the snake's tail again and pulled with all his might. John saw that Bella was able to take a nice breath. This brought him some hope. He just needed to keep this up until official help arrived. John's muscles were burning with the effort and sweat poured down his face. He could see the fear and pain in Bella's eyes, and it drove him to push harder. He knew he couldn't give up. Bella's life depended on him. Just as John was beginning to feel hopeless, he heard the sound of sirens in the distance. Relief flooded through him. Help was on the way, but he couldn't wait for them to arrive. He had to keep trying. John looked around for anything else he could use. He spotted a sturdy branch lying on the ground and grabbed it. Using the branch as a lever, he wedged it under the snake's coils and pushed down with all his strength. The snake hissed and writhed, its grip loosening slightly. "Come on. Come on," John muttered through gritted teeth. He pushed harder, his arms trembling with the effort. The snake's coils loosened just enough for Bella to take another gasping breath. She was still trapped, but at least she could breathe. John still struggled to comprehend how a snake could be this strong. He was a grown man who went to the gym every day. This was a very humbling experience. Finally, the animal control officers arrived, rushing into the garden with equipment in hand. "Sir, step back," one of them instructed, and John reluctantly moved away, his heart pounding with fear and hope. The officers worked quickly and efficiently. They used a snake hook to carefully pry the python's head away from Bella and began to unwind its powerful coils. It was a delicate process, as they had to ensure the snake didn't panic and tighten its grip further. They worked with precision though, clearly experienced with situations like these. Unlike poor old John, "Bella, it's okay. You're safe now," he whispered, stroking her head gently. Bella looked up at him with grateful eyes, her tail wagging weakly. John couldn't help but admire how brave she was, being her sweet self after everything she had just gone through. While John was focused on Bella, the animal control officers carefully captured the python. They didn't want to harm the snake, as it was simply acting on its natural instincts. The officers placed the snake into a large, secure container, ensuring it couldn't escape. We'll relocate the python to a more suitable habitat. One of the officers explained to John, "It's not safer to be in a suburban area." John nodded, grateful for their help. "Thank you. I appreciate you saving Bella and taking care of the snake." "It's our job," the officer replied with a smile. "That will make sure the snake is released into the wild where it belongs." And just like that, they took off with the fiercely strong reptile. With the python safely contained, John knew that he had to get Bella to the vet immediately. She had been through a traumatic experience and he needed to ensure that she and her puppies were okay. How she was still breathing and wagging her tail, he had no idea, but he wasn't about to complain. He rejoiced that she was okay for a split moment and then jumped into action to get her the care she so desperately needed. He carefully lifted Bella into his car and sped off to the nearest veterinary clinic. The drive felt agonizingly long, but John kept talking to Bella, reassuring her that everything would be all right. "Hang in there, girl. We're almost there," he said, his voice filled with determination. When they arrived at the clinic, John rushed inside, carrying Bella in his arms. The vet, Dr. Emily Hart, immediately sprang into action. "What happened?" she asked, her eyes wide with concern. "A python attacked her in the garden," John explained breathlessly. "She's pregnant and I think she might be in shock." Dr. Hart nodded and quickly examined Bella. "We need to get her stabilized and check on the puppies." "Let's get her on the table." John watched anxiously as the vet and her assistants worked on Bella. They administered fluids to rehydrate her and checked her vital signs. Dr. Hart used an ultrasound to monitor the puppies, ensuring they were all healthy. The next few hours were a blur of activity and worry. John paced the waiting room, his mind racing with fears and doubts. He couldn't bear the thought of losing Bella or her puppies. He prayed silently, hoping that they would all be all right. Reflecting back on his morning, he could hardly believe that this was the day he was having. Would people even begin to believe him when he told them what happened? It all felt like a fever dream. Minutes honestly felt like hours while John waited. Every horrible scenario ran through his head before he could stop it. He paced the waiting room, almost creating a trench where he placed his steps over and over again. Finally, Dr. Hart emerged from the examination room with a reassuring smile. "Bella's going to be fine. She's a bit shaken, but there are no serious injuries. The puppies are healthy and seem unaffected by the ordeal." Relief washed over John, and he felt tears of gratitude well up in his eyes. This was an absolute miracle. Bella was a soldier. Who else could have been squeezed like that and come out fine? Feeling a wave of gratitude for the doctor, he couldn't help but shout out his thanks. "Thank you, Dr. Hart. I don't know what I would have done if I lost her." "You did a great job getting her here quickly," Dr. Hart replied. "She's a strong girl and, with a little rest, she'll be back to her old self in no time." That evening, John brought Bella back home, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and relief. He settled her into a cozy spot in the living room surrounded by blankets and her favorite toys. Bella looked up at him with trusting eyes, her tail thumping gently against the floor. John sat beside her, stroking her fur and reflecting on the events of the day. He couldn't believe how close he had come to losing her. The image of the python wrapped around Bella, its powerful coils threatening to take her life, was seared into his mind. Every time he closed his eyes, that was all he could see. He felt so helpless. And it had happened in the blink of an eye. He also thought about the python and the decision to save it. It would have been easy to focus solely on Bella and disregard the snake, but John believed in the importance of compassion for all creatures. The python was simply following its instincts and it deserved to live in its natural habitat, away from the dangers of suburbia. Over the next few weeks, Bella recovered well from her ordeal. She regained her strength and energy, and John made sure to keep a close eye on her. The bond between them grew even stronger, forged in the crucible of their shared struggle. One night, as John was reading in the living room, he noticed Bella acting restlessly. She was pacing and seemed agitated. John's heart skipped a beat. He knew the signs. Bella was about to give birth. He quickly prepared a comfortable nesting area for her, complete with soft blankets and a gentle heat lamp. Bella settled into the nest, and John stayed by her side, ready to assist if needed. The room was filled with an air of anticipation and excitement. Hours passed, and one by one the puppies were born. Bella handled the birthing process with grace and instinct, and John marveled at the miracle of life unfolding before his eyes. By the time the last puppy arrived, Bella had given birth to 6 healthy, wriggling bundles of joy. John's heart swelled with pride and love as he watched Bella nuzzle her newborns, her eyes filled with maternal affection. The puppies squirmed and suckled, their tiny bodies warm and safe under Bella's watchful gaze. In the days that followed, John cared for Bella and her puppies with unwavering dedication. He made sure Bella had plenty of nutritious food and water, and he kept the puppies' area clean and comfortable. The house was filled with the soft sounds of contentment, the puppies' squeaks, and Bella's gentle purrs of reassurance. News of Bella's dramatic rescue and the birth of her puppy spread quickly through the neighborhood. Friends and neighbors stopped by to offer their congratulations and see the adorable new arrivals. John was touched by the outpouring of support and love from his community. The animal control officers who had helped rescue Bella also paid a visit. They were delighted to see Bella thriving and the puppies healthy. They shared updates on the python's relocation, informing John that it had been released into a protected wildlife reserve far from suburban homes. As John looked back on the events that had transpired, he realized that the experience had taught him profound lessons about compassion, resilience, and the interconnectedness of all living beings. Saving Bella had been an act of love, but it had also been a testament to the strength of their bond and the importance of protecting and valuing all creatures. He knew that the memory of that fateful morning would stay with him forever, a reminder of the incredible power of determination in the miracles that can happen when one acts with a compassionate heart. What an incredible story! How would you have reacted if you found your dog entrapped by such a large snake? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Till next time.